What a nice day.
Fucking unreal, isn't it? Calm before the storm, mate.
Good choice.
If something pushes through this afternoon, it's going to go off the cliff. If it's
Yeah,
like this now.
and well, it's going to turn dirty. As long as it doesn't turn dirty in the middle of the night when you're not fishing, you don't want to have that happen. Given how bright it is, definitely fishing a bit deeper.
Yeah. Oh, what are we in now?
10.
Yeah. Oh, got him.
Yep.
Yep.
Right on cue. Right on cue, brother.
That was a good hit, man.
Yeah, I am. We'll come back up. We're out on Eildon and we've been going since dawn and it's just about dusk. And Eildon's well and truly kicked our ass today. That's cod fishing. Got Cam McGregor with me from River Escapes and saw a couple on the sonar early but couldn't get a bite, and Cam had a follow this afternoon right to the boat.
Yeah,
No joy.
just playing the games.
Cod doing what cod do, unfortunately. But thought we'd take the opportunity for me to ask Cam a question because Cam comes from a fairly scholarly background with cod, more particular his partner Katie, PhD
Yeah.
around Murray cod research, which is pretty significant. And the question I want to ask you, mate, is go back to when I first met you fishing one of the clear north-east rivers.
Yep.
And do you remember we had that bite window where we got 3 or 4 fish mid-morning in quick succession?
Yeah, I do. Very well.
And I remember you two blokes talking about 12 hours before the front comes through.
Yeah.
There was a storm or bad weather coming. And you made a bit of a prediction around the bite window. And I asked you the question the other day about how soon before bad weather can you expect a bite window? Because it's fairly predictable that it will happen, or there's no hard rules, but it can be when the storm hits, or it can be, like you say, 12 hours. Take us through what you and I guess Katie think about that.
Yeah, so I guess I come from the background just like we're doing now, like chasing these buggers as much as possible and trying to, everyone's trying to work out the hard and fast rules with them, which before I even start, I'm going to paraphrase it and say they throw new rules at you all the time, but there are general patterns that we do see, and this bad weather one and Katie's work sort of backed it up, is that, well, just 100% backed it up, that it almost seems like when you're going into a bigger weather system that, so you got bad weather on the way later during the week or whatever, you can pretty much plan that if you can be out on the water at least the day before and then building into that 12 6-hour window, and it almost feels like the 12-hour ones, you're going to see a more sustained bite, and it's almost in response to how bad the weather's going to be coming up, and it kind of makes sense. It's pretty much they're trying to feed up and basically have some petrol in the tank to ride out the bad weather, and that's kind of what our thinking's been around that.
Yeah, so I guess minor change. Are you kind of saying you might get a bite too, but it'll maybe be less intense and later?
Yeah,
like right on the front kind of thing.
Yeah, and I've personally, the pattern I've seen with those smaller weather events, they will tend to feed up closer to them, but it's almost like the bigger ones, they shut down very abruptly before, like longer before the front gets there. Like, it's almost like they don't. Well, we know that they hate wind and things like that. Like, that's a given. Like, a lot of people say that. And I don't think it's as simple with the wind thing. It's not as simple as just saying that. Yeah, look, because a lot of our theories get based on when it's actually more comfortable for us to be out there fishing.
True.
A lot of us have fished in the wind at length, and I can only count on one hand how many good days I've had on real windy days.
Yeah, I think they suck personally.
But just this this feeding, it just seems to be something that we've sort of pinned down a bit. And I'll say it, like I say to everyone though, don't just go out there and plan your trips. Like if you can get out on the water, like in the build up to one of these weather events, definitely do it. But no, don't necessarily have to plan your trip around that.
Yeah.
You just got to go fishing when you can go fishing.
I have had it where Lids and I've made a couple of calls in warmer months.
Yeah.
Like I generally don't come to Eildon at all in warmer months. But where I've seen a weather system coming and I've said to her, do you feel up to it? Let's go. And literally be on the lake for an evening into night session. And a couple of times we've had really quite intense bites. Not really big fish, but clearly fish that are on the job.
Yeah.
And that's been late. That's been like the weather's hitting.
Yeah. I think too that like they're classics. Anyone that's spent time on them will get, you get those spurts and like we've talked about it. Is it response to Saluna or something else going on? But they're classics for that. Like you'll think back at the end of the day. You know what? Say you had a good day. Those 4 or 6 fish we moved all happened in a 2-3 hour window. And you're like, hang on, there's something definitely going on there.
Yeah, was it Saluna? Was it a bite window?
Yeah.
Or was it that barometer drop with the weather that's coming, or the barometer rise with the improving weather? But yeah.
But I guess what we tend to see in these build-up bite events, you might get a day of, like relatively speaking time-wise, you might get a much longer bite window. Like it's almost a sustained bite where you get those fish dribs and drabs through the whole day.
Take those.
Yeah. And that's where we're saying that it's definitely seems to be in relation to that build-up on to the oncoming weather.
Yeah. So, like you say, you don't necessarily get the opportunity to plan your fishing around, what's the weather doing in terms of storms approaching or low pressure systems approaching.
And a lot of this stuff's purely based on being out on the water or staring at a fish in a fish tank more than what's probably healthy for the average human, I guess.
And Katie's done a lot of that, right?
Yeah, she's got thousands of hours of video, and it was pretty crazy.
That was around feeding habits of Murray Cod.
If we could control carp by stocking cod. So
yeah, right. Is that what the study was about? Okay.
She worked out prey preferences and things, and so she had basically small carp were one of the prey items. Like she'd have other prey items in the tank with the fish as well. So, but yeah, I'm going to hold off on that. I want her to talk about
Yeah, for sure. That's for another day.
Either yourself or Smithers,
We'll probably podcast that at some point for sure.
Yeah, she doesn't mind a fish. We'll get her out there.
I've seen her chuck a fly around. She goes right, doesn't she?
She does, yeah.
Cool. Thank you for that, man.
No, all good.
We will fish on. I know we've probably got about half an hour of daylight left. It feels fishy, but it's felt fishy all day. So anyway.
Win a cod. We just do it because when we get one, it'll be a good one.
Yeah, true. And I'm snagged. It's a good time to end that.
Yeah.
Cheers, mate.
No, all good, mate.